When my oldest daughter Jordan was 18 months old, my wife gave her some peanut butter. Jordan's little face smiled with joy. And then she broke out in hives. We took her to test and we found out that she was allergic to peanuts and to all tree nuts. And since that time, we have become vigilant about reading all labels and making sure that Jordan doesn't eat anything related to tree nuts. This has been a bummer for me though, because my favorite candy bar is Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. So rarely am I ever able to eat one. But whenever the kids are away and they get to go to the grandparents, it's my time to break out the Reese's. I take great pleasure in having one, and I always eat it real slow. Sometimes it will take me up to 10 minutes eating one because it makes me really happy. But then the pleasure is gone, and I'm left feeling sad and hungry for another Reese's. Folks, the same thing is true when we pursue pleasures instead of true happiness. The pleasure feels great in the moment, but it's only temporary. The pleasant feeling always comes to an end, and the only way to get it back is to go back to the pleasure once again. And when you repeatedly choose a pleasure, eventually it chooses you. I've seen it happen in so many people's lives. They choose a pleasure, but then it becomes a habit, and then they become stuck in a prison. And in the end, instead of bringing happiness, it steals your happiness from you. Now, pleasure in and of itself is not wrong. God designed us and He desires us to enjoy the pleasures He gives us. But sometimes we choose unhealthy pleasures, and they can take a lot of different forms. It can be something we buy or watch or scroll through or drink or smoke. Things that are not healthy. And when we try to acquire happiness from them, they can end up destroying our happiness. But when we pursue God instead of pursuing earthly pleasure, He sets us on a path that will lead to lasting happiness that no one can steal. So the question becomes, how do we resist the control of these pleasures in our lives? Well, we have to get real honest with ourselves and start by identifying what those pleasures are. You have to ask yourself, when I want to feel good, relieve pain, distract myself, what do I go to? What is my quick fix? Well, the first thing that comes to your mind may be a pleasure that controls you. And once you have identified it, find someone to help you stay accountable to resisting it. A godly friend, someone in your small group, someone that you can really trust. Then also think about ways you can pursue God to try and fill your mind with His thoughts. Things like reading the Bible regularly and praying daily and listening to His voice. Taking some time maybe to listen to some Christian music or going to church regularly and getting plugged into a small group. I promise you that if you will do this, the happiness you will find will far outweigh those momentary pleasures that leave you empty. In this session, I want you to hear from my good friend, Chuck Mock. In Chuck's video, he shares about how in the early years of his life, he searched for happiness through partying and having the desire to be popular. Let's check out this video.
My name is Chuck, and I am the ministry leader of Celebrate Recovery. I am a married father of 3, and I got 2 stepchildren as well, and I have 5 grandchildren and another one on the way. Before I was a follower of Christ, I was searching for happiness in a lot of different ways. I was playing in bands, and so we were partying a lot, searching for adulation through maybe being popular in a sense, and so definitely unhealthy ways of searching, thinking that that would fulfill what I was looking for. To me, happiness came with a price, and that price is like a car or a nice house or a boat, all these material things that people see. So I think that that's how I searched for a lot of things, or how I felt that I was going to get happiness, was almost buying happiness in a sense. It makes you tired, because the truth is you can never achieve everything to make you happy. So when you come up short on something, or you can't afford to get something, or things like that, then it's almost like it squashes your happiness, so to speak. So yeah, it's tiring trying to search for happiness that way, because you're never going to reach it, you're never going to get it, and I was never able to attain it doing it that way. Well, there was a gentleman that invited me to church one time. I was on a job site, and I wasn't a church goer. I didn't grow up going to church, but this guy, there seemed to be something about him. And so he invited me to church, and I went to his church one Sunday, and I didn't like it. And so I left, but it kind of got me reading the Bible a little bit, even though the Bible was really confusing to me, because I started at the beginning, because the Bible's a book, right? So you start at page 1. And it was very confusing to me, in the sense that, I was reading about this God that was destroying people, and it wasn't like, it was almost an angry thing, and it really kind of freaked me out a little bit. I wasn't for sure I wanted to follow something like this. The week before Easter, for the very first JAR service in the gymnasium, me and my daughter went, and it was that first service at the JAR. I remember Chris speaking about baggage and stuff, and having these illustrations with that, and I gave my life to Christ that first day at the JAR Community Church. The first day I walked in there, I gave my life to Christ, and I knew things were going to change, and I absolutely knew I was where I was supposed to be, and that my life was getting ready to change, and it absolutely did. Everything spun out from that point, and then the happiness, I started learning that happiness was a little different than what I was always looking at it. I realized that happiness wasn't based on what you have, but on who you have. And when I found that relationship with Christ, it just changed everything. It wasn't an outward thing as much as an inward thing, and it just changed the way that I thought of everything. And I knew that happiness was different than the way I always viewed it before. And there's a lot of inner peace knowing that it's not up to you anymore to do things, and so it definitely sets your mind at ease when you start thinking differently, and you start realizing that it's about Jesus Christ. Once I realized that what happiness truly is, who it's based on, it's made me want to be able to reach out to other people that I know are doing things the same way, and trying to attain things the same way that I did, and struggle with all that. And you see people that are struggling with alcohol, or struggling with even pride issues, just anything that's based on trying to attain happiness yourself. And so when I see people doing that, it's just a strong desire for me to want to be able to show them a different way, to truly kind of guide them to a better way and to a better place. There's so many things in our lives that have a tendency to throw us off, or that we search for happiness in certain ways by doing things, and whether that's drugs or alcohol or sex or food, anything that makes us feel good, and we think that this is something that's going to bring us happiness. This is going to be fulfilling in my life, and it's empty, because it never does. You always want more and more and more, and then you get something, and then it's gone, and then you're empty again. And so Celebrate Recovery is a Christ-centered recovery program that allows you to work on those things, and allows you to ultimately put Christ first, and let Him fill that void in your life. Let Him show you that happiness and how to be blessed in life, because it's based on the Beatitudes, and the Beatitudes are being happy and being blessed, and it's not all the other things, it's Jesus Christ. Well, the first thing I do to try to seek happiness is, for one thing, I start my day off with the Bible, and that's where my Bible study and my prayer time comes in, Because the truth is, when I don't do it in the mornings, my day it looks a lot different, and I have a lot more stress and things like that. So I've always felt that, no, it's not felt, it's a fact. When I'm able to do those things, my day is shaped a little bit different. It's like that person that gets up in the morning and works out. You go to the YMCA at 5:30 in the morning and you work out, you feel good all day, you want to eat good. You don't want to eat at McDonald's because, hey, I just worked out in the morning. So, and in a weird way, stuff like that's the same for me when I'm able to get focused and I pray and I say, God, lead me today. Whoever you want me to do something with, keep me in a good frame of mind. And I feel like when I do that, then, man, things just seem to go a lot better. Not that every day is perfect, because it's not, but so I do have bad days and I do have things happen and bad news during the day, but I don't let it, I don't search out different ways to try to make that bad news go away. I don't reach for a bottle or cigarettes or chew or stuff like that. That stuff's never gonna bring you happiness. You can't say never bring you happiness, because it does bring you happiness, but it's a very temporary happiness that goes away quick. So you're never gonna reach it. You're gonna keep walking and you're never gonna get to that spot. You're gonna keep reaching for something that you're never gonna be able to grab a hold of and grasp a hold of. And if you do get a hold of something, it's fake and it's not gonna be what you think it is. There's a lot of things now in life that makes me happy. It really does. My wife's an amazing woman of Christ and a very positive woman. My kids are doing well and they're healthy. That makes me happy. I'm a business owner and I get to go to work. I'm blessed to be able to get up and go to work every single day. So those are definitely things that bring me happiness, but it's still that relationship being centered on Jesus Christ that ultimately makes me happy in my soul and makes me happy in my heart. And the Jar Community Church has always been that thing where they're the community of people that you get to grow with and you get to worship with and be inspired when things aren't maybe going so well. And my happiness is definitely based on different things nowadays, but I can assure you I'm a very happy person.